Welcome, everyone, to the Public Podcast. I'm your host, Nora Ali. The launch of ChatGPT has altered the connotation in some ways of artificial intelligence from being perhaps a futuristic, sci-fi like technology to now a more mainstream application that anyone can use to do things like plan a trip, learn to code, write an entire essay, the list goes on. But it has also cast a spotlight on companies that have been developing AI solutions for many years. And one of those companies is Presto Automation, which provides voice AI for drive-thrus at quick service restaurants and fast food chains like Del Taco and McDonald's. With us now is Krishna Gupta, Chairman and Interim CEO of Presto Automation. Krishna, welcome.
Nice to be here, Nora. Thank you, and thanks everyone for listening.
All right, let's start with a quick breakdown of Presto's technology. How does it work and how is it currently being deployed in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, well, look, our core focus right now is on the voice AI for drive-through product that we call Presto Voice. The product is very simple. Basically, in the drive-thrus today, you have humans taking your orders. Instead of that, our technology enables a machine, our technology to take the orders and converse with the customer coming through the drive-thru. How it works is it's sort of a cocktail of algorithms and input-output, but effectively it's taking your speech, it's breaking it down, it's processing that, cross-referencing across the menu, and then coming back and doing what's called speech-to-text, or text-to-speech, sorry, TTS, and spitting out what increasingly sounds like human voice. And that saves the customer, which are restaurant chains, it saves them labor. And then also, very importantly, drives upsell revenue. And so, this AI will ask the customer, do they want to supersize me, or do you want a chocolate shake with your burger? And so that is creating about 5 or 6% of incremental revenue for the customers.
So in these use cases, is it purely the AI technology? Or are there situations where a human does have to come in if, something goes wrong?
No, it's absolutely a dance between the humans and the machines. We are striving towards accuracy. A pure machine, sort of no humans, would be problematic on a few fronts. But eventually, I'm sure we'll all get there.
Mm-hmm. So you're collaborating with OpenAI specifically for a ChatGPT integration. How is that going to assist and enhance the technology?
Well, what OpenAI has become the face for is large language models, right? And generative AI. And we've been actually working on large language models independently, but we are definitely benefiting from our partnership with OpenAI. The CEO of OpenAI is Sam Altman, is an investor of the company. And we really believe that it'll help us accelerate our ability to personalize these conversations. And humanize them so they can sound more human-like, the voice. So there's a lot of stuff we're doing with them, but it's one part of our overall sort of artificial intelligence technology.
Can you talk a little bit more about what that partnership does entail? Because it sounds like it is helping to enhance the core technology that you have, but are there maybe new streams of revenue that this could lead to, or anything that's net new?
No, we're really thinking of it today as and we're thinking of our entire business as being very focused around, what I think is a very rare thing, which is an immediate opportunity to deploy cutting edge technology into a market that wants it right now. Those kind of situations are pretty rare, right? Where the technology is advanced and it's suddenly possible. That would not have been the case a year ago. And on the other side, you've got a market which, labor costs are rising. People really do want to sort of automate as much as they can, and they want to use the power of machine learning and AI to drive revenue higher wherever they can as well.
Mm-hmm. What is the benefit, or I guess, do you think it's going to be a theme where companies like yours are partnering with what appears to be the leader in large language models like in OpenAI versus continuing to just emphasize on building that technology in-house? Do you think basically everyone who wants to get ahead needs to have some kind of collaboration with OpenAI, for example?
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. And by the way, OpenAI is not going to be the only provider of large language models. I mean, there are definitely players out there who will be real competitors. I think the open source model is here to stay because I think a lot of this fundamental building block sort of technology is commoditized increasingly. And so the way to sort of monetize it if you're OpenAI or make a greater impact is to actually let people work off of that and then monetize the downstream applications. So that's what they're doing. That's what other people will do. And I don't think it makes a lot of sense for example, a small startup, let alone a big one, um, you know, to sort of build some of this stuff in house. It's like saying, well, let me build. There's a bunch of fundamental technology that we don't build in house, right? And I think this falls into that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like there's about 300 drive-through locations currently that are using Presto Voice AI. How do your customers, these restaurant partners, how do they measure ROI? And you had mentioned upselling, which is an incremental value, but how are they deciding that this is worth the investment?
It's really the two levers I mentioned earlier, which is the reduction in labor costs. So some people will look at it as the opportunity to reduce their labor by one full-time employee. Others may decide that actually I'm going to redirect that labor towards higher value tasks, and so your order accuracy should go up. The other lever of return on investment is the upsell, and right now we're seeing 5 to 6% upsell, which is very meaningful. And we're not even fully optimized. I think over time we'll be able to personalize that upsell. We'll be able to make it faster. Um, Really what you want to get to is a point where the customer walks away feeling like they got something they didn't really realize they wanted actually, right? And so I think we can, hopefully we can drive that up to 10% sometime. That's a major number.
Why is upselling something that the technology can do better than humans? Is it just something that they're not proactively trained on? Why is that a benefit to this?
Humans have, first of all, a minimum wage employee taking orders has zero incentive to do an upsell. They get tired of doing the upsell. I often talk about the perfect upsell being like a video game controller where you've got 4 or 5 different buttons. You have to find the perfect combination to drive the output of a fireball or whatever. It's the same thing. Here you've got like a main meal, you've got a dessert, you've got a drink. You're trying to find the perfect combination of those things. And the more personalized you can do it by how the conversation is going or how the customer is sounding, the time of day, it just becomes way too much. So what we find is that most of the time, these humans are not even offering the upsell. And if they do offer an upsell, it's a very rote, it's the same thing every time. Let me just, okay, do you want a large drink or a small drink? A large drink. So actually a very large delta between what's happening with humans today and where the AI can eventually make it perfect.
Yeah, we forget that there's just a lot to process for a human to figure out the right way and the right time to upsell, what to upsell. So that's really interesting. Let's talk about the Del Taco partnership. Recently, you all signed Del Taco as your second enterprise customer for Voice AI for Drive-Thru. What does this look like? What does this mean in terms of recurring revenue? What is involved in this expansion?
Um, we talked about the potential of Del Taco being 10 million ARR as it's rolled out. We are in the process of rolling it out. They're just like Checkers. They're a very forward-thinking regional chain that we've had a great time working with so far, and we have a great relationship with them. From their perspective, the value prop is exactly what I mentioned earlier, which is around the labor and the upsell. The interesting thing about Del Taco is it's a taco chain. It's doing Mexican food, right? Versus Checkers is doing burgers. So there's definitely some learnings there that that our system gets better and better on, or our thinking of what to upsell, how to upsell. The dynamics there become more interesting. So yeah, as we roll more of these out, I hope more of you guys can check them out, whether it's at Checkers or Del Taco, and more to come.
What does the onboarding process look like for a Del Taco? And I mean in terms of velocity of how many new partners you can onboard, if there's anything on the horizon for 2023, or is it pretty involved and takes a while to get a big chain like that up and running?
There's definitely some, some activation energy that's required and just getting something up and running. And so you'll start off, we have corporates buy in, you start to sort of go franchisee by franchisee. And that there's a schedule there, and so we haven't disclosed a specific timeline as to when we expect all of them to roll out, but they are in process and we're moving. We are absolutely engaged on other chains, right? And so we have a very vibrant pipeline right now, and the reality is, I mean, I often ask people, if you think about it, 3 years from now, do you really think a human is going to take orders in the drive-through, given everything you've heard about or read about AI? Right? Right. So if you think that's inevitable, then it's really a question of just how fast you can move. And we are the market leader today, and we're the natural choice for most of these chains.
And this is just to be clear in the ordering part of it, right? Are you still paying with a human? Is that also going to be automated in the future?
For now, it's just the ordering. The payments over time, I'm sure will become automated too.
Is that something that you guys would be involved in, or that's maybe less AI driven and more just, you use your Apple Pay or whatever?
It'll probably, if I were to project out what happens, it'll probably be your choice. We can certainly do that. And we have a tabletop product that we have in dining, in casual dining. So Red Lobster, Chili's, Applebee's. You can order there on these things. You can play there. You can also pay there, so that they are payment enabled, right? And so, yeah.
Makes sense. Do you think that the fact that your average person, it seems now, knows about ChatGPT, there's so much mainstream hype around it, do you think that's going to accelerate the deal cycle with potential customers for you? Have you seen things accelerate as far as interest?
We have. In fact, we have, it's the ex-CEO of McDonald's walking by. We have, because here's actually today at the Restaurant Leadership Conference, perhaps even at this moment, our president is doing a panel on the rise of AI in the drive-thru. And so and we're the only voice AI company at the Restaurant Leadership Conference today. And so, just the fact that panel is happening at what is very a traditional restaurant-focused conference tells you everything you need to know about where this technology is relative to the market opportunity. And I think absolutely. I mean, everybody's hearing about AI. Everyone's imaginations are running wild about their jobs being automated, right? So forget about drive-through. People are worried that lawyers' jobs are going to be automated, and so that hysteria is going, I think, to a very unnatural level. But it makes it very easy for someone to imagine that why wouldn't I automate my drive-through? And by second thought, what else can I automate, right? So that, yes, that's what I mean by the convergence of the technology awareness and the market opportunity is very real right now.
Well, for those people who are worried about their jobs being replaced by AI, I guess, what is your sense of how the labor market in hospitality will be impacted by this type of technology? What kinds of new jobs might be created? What types of jobs might go away?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and I think first of all, I'm not a subscriber to the idea that jobs will be replaced and then people will be out of work. I think there's always, in any technology revolution, there's a transition period and there's an upskilling. Now, sometimes technology moves so quickly that it does create real problems for real human beings, and I have a ton of empathy for that. I hope we'll be able to create a lot more jobs. I mean, for example, as we're training these voices, as we're training by language, as we're training by whatever, there will be opportunities for new jobs there. I mean, we hire people to help us train our voices and our technology, on real humans. And so I think over time, if I were someone working in the drive-through today, I would actually view it as a great opportunity to embrace the idea of what AI can do for us and think about how can we upskill these people, or how can we involve them in the AI revolution. We certainly don't want people being replaced entirely.
Yeah, for those who do want to be a part of this AI revolution, a lot of people are trying to incorporate AI into their existing businesses, their startups, whatever. You're very specific in the drive-through use case. How important is specificity when it comes to innovating in AI? And is it, you're starting with drive-throughs now, you'll expand to other use cases, or is this really important to be very specific?
I think it's really important to be very specific when it comes to any large new technology revolution, because you can easily get caught, you get lost in generalities. But building a great company always comes down to the basic principles of finding product market fit first. And so I think there's a lot more opportunities beyond just drive-through. There's, any place where there's a human interaction that involves voice, and there's some repetition in there, you're going to be able to look at voice AI as a very interesting thing. Now, I tend to believe that when it comes to voice specifically, it's gonna go by how complex the interactions are. So, are you going to really want to negotiate your insurance policy or pick an insurance policy using an automated bot today? No, I really wouldn't recommend it. But are you going to want to discuss your financial portfolio with a robo advisor, as sort of was a hot thing for a brief instant? Probably not. But could you execute trades using voice AI? Absolutely, right? Why not say, hey, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, and instead of typing it into an app, maybe public.com could integrate voice AI into that.
All right, a couple more questions before we let you go. Krishna, on the business model, your revenue is split into platform and transactions. Platform making up about 56% of total revenue in the recent quarter. What's the difference between those two things, and how costly overall is it to run this kind of business?
We don't split out the revenue specifically too much more, but at the end of the day, like, the platform business is, think of it as when we went public, we talked about our business as touch, voice, and vision, right? And the touch business being the legacy business, which is ordering on the table, paying on the table, and that, in fact, that there's a clear line between that and what we're doing in the drive-thru, which is both of them rely upon labor automation to begin with, or augmentation, and then trying to drive upselling, whether that's at a table or whether that's at a drive-thru. So, however, what's happened is over the last 3-4 months, we've realized that this voice AI thing in the drive-thru has become such an immediate opportunity that our marginal bandwidth and our marginal dollar, we are really trying to figure out how to scale that up. I mean, we're trying to hire salespeople. We can't hire them fast enough because the demand is so high in this space. That's how we think about it. We're really, at the end of the day, our business model is really a SaaS-driven business model. We're charging per store per month, on the voice AI side.